So let's talk about the enigmatic Eldar performers and their leaks and changes in the new Eldar codex. Hello and welcome back to Horse Bets Tactics, where the leaks and rumours just really don't seem to be letting up whatsoever. There really does seem to be a steady drip feed of Eldar news and datasheets coming out. Again, leaked things from the Eldar playtest codex, and everything that I'm talking about today was posted to the Eldari Discord server. They've been doing quite a good job of collating all the leaks together. I'll leave a link to them down in the video description, though I think a fair bit of the stuff was posted elsewhere first. In any case, today we have some really interesting changes for the Harlequins, a fair bit of general info as to what might be included in the Eldari Codex, and then perhaps most interestingly, a leaked datasheet for the Troupe Master, which shows quite a lot of interesting new stats for the various Harlequin weapons. We've then also got a couple of psychic powers as well for the Shadowseer, one of which is very powerful indeed. So as mentioned, it does seem that Harlequins are going to be folded into Codex Eldari, at least judging by the fact that they appear to have datasheets in the same style as this playtest codex, so it really seems like it could be a super beefy book for the Eldar, with them and the Inari in there too. I'm sure that will bring mixed feelings from some players, no more unique codex for the Harlequins, probably a little bit less support on a faction-wide level within 40k, but still at the same time I'm not sure it's necessarily the worst decision. Harlequins really have felt like a mini faction since they were released. Some infantry bikes and a transport accompanied by a few characters, and aside from a few iterations of new rules, Games Workshop haven't really done anything with the faction since they came out as an independent force. I can't help but think that the Harlequins aren't likely to get quite as much attention as if they were in a whole codex of their own, but it still seems from the previews that we're looking at that they do seem to be a fairly major part of the Eldari Codex, and maybe a bit of an army within an army in the same way as the Astra Militarum are to Scions. Overall, in terms of army-wide rules, these are some of the rumours. No more individual troops, but 3 different devotions instead. It seems they might be called Sadaths, and are apparently going to be devoted to Light, Dark, and Twilight. I'm not exactly sure what they'll get yet. I'm going to guess things like chapter tactics, warlord traits, and stratagems and things. They appear to have an army-wide special rule called Luck of the Laughing God, which I'm going to guess is their ability that they get if you field an entire army of Harlequins. Maybe a bit of a mirror to the Strands of Fate rule that we saw for the main Eldari. It doesn't seem that anyone's come out with any firm details yet, but apparently it provides rerolls in some way. They still appear to have a discipline of psychic powers, as we'll get onto. It appears that they have pivotal roles for their characters that you can pay for in points. They've still got some stratagems, and probably warlord traits and relics as well, and a few unique secondary objectives that you can take if your army is pure Harlequins. A few of the choices might be a little bit trimmed down, I feel, but to be honest, this really seems like a fairly generous amount of support. It doesn't really seem significantly different to what they might get if they were in their own book. Perhaps some of the most interesting hints, though, come from this leaked Troupe Master datasheet. He does indeed appear to have that Sadath keyword. Giving that a Google, it does seem to be another word for the Harlequins' mask forms. And then there's a few really quite interesting changes to the generic war gear, things like the Harlequin blades going to AP-1 and +1 attack now. That would certainly make the Harlequin troops really quite a lot more dangerous. There's a bit of a loss of diversity though in the Harlequins' Kiss, Caress and Embrace. They all now give +1 strength, AP-2 and damage 2. Usually that's going to be hitting at strength 4 unless they can get +1 strength from anything. And it appears that in the fine details it also gives you the keyword for each one of those weapons. Apparently each one of those is going to have an associated stratagem of some kind to reflect a special move that they can do. It means it might not matter quite as much which one of those fancy bits of kit each Harlequin has. I guess you're losing a little bit of customizability there, but at the same time it does mean that you don't have to worry too much what they're modelled with. Broadly they're going to be doing the same thing, unless your Harlequins have to activate stratagems. The generic special rules that he has are Harlequin's Panoply, Luck of the Laughing God, and Rising Crescendo. It doesn't appear that he gets Strands of Fate or Battle Focus at all, so I'm guessing that's just going to be for the standard craft wielders. The Harlequin's Panoply does appear to have also been shared as well. It seems to be broadly similar to the old flip belt rules, giving each model a 4+ invul save, the ability to dance freely through other models and terrain as they could before, and in a change that appears to be new, it appears that they get -1 to hit in melee. That's quite a nice little buff to the survivability of the Harlequins, not going to be quite as incidentally killed by return attacks. I'd guess that Rising Crescendo is going to be their advance and charge and fall back and charge shenanigans. Finally, it does appear that fusion pistols appear to be D6+2 all of the time now, so basically the same as the fusion guns that we saw on the Eldar Fire Dragons. Of course they are only 6-inch range pistols, so you do have to get really quite close indeed. A little bit more flexible in positioning though than having to get within 3 inches for the melter range. Still, going back to the Troupe Master himself though, it appears that he's a 75-point model base or is 4 power. Compared with before, his stat line's very similar, getting +1 attack to 6, and his Neuro Disruptor pistol appears to have changed very slightly, giving 1 mortal wound if you hit non-vehicles, and a strength 6 AP-3 damage 1 hit if you target vehicles. It does appear that his buffing aura has been nerfed in quite a major way though. Previously he'd allow you to reroll wound rolls with nearby mask infantry units, and that did include himself as well. But now it appears to be limited to core units, so he doesn't benefit himself, and it's only rerolls of 1 to wound, not the massive full wound rerolls that they had previously. It looks like with the slight upgrades to their combat weapons, maybe more of the power is going to be on the Harlequins datasheets themselves, rather than in their character buffs. It certainly doesn't seem like it's quite as an important buffing piece as he was previously, though it's going to be interesting to see how he combines with various warlord traits and pivotal roles and things. He might still be able to make a very stacked Troupe Master for all we know right now. Finally, it does appear that he has the Haywire Grenade keyword, which almost certainly means that he'll be able to access a stratagem from that. I'd argue it's maybe not the most important reveal compared with things like the troops or the jet bikes, but it's pretty interesting to see some of the new bits of kit. Finally, we've got a couple of leaked Phantasmancy powers, 2 of them revealed from a discipline of 6, and both of them quite meaningful changes. First up, we have Twilight Pathways from the Shadowseer, a blessing which is Warp Charge 6 and 6-inch range, and 1 Sedeth core or character unit can immediately move again. This one is a bit nerfed in my opinion, to be honest, as now you can't charge after that move now, so things like Harlequin bikes just don't really have quite as crazy a long threat range. Provided you could get the Shadowseer within 3 inches, they could pretty much cross most of the table in a turn. Also, being on core and characters mean that you can't use it on transports or anything, so unfortunately no using this for a fusion pistol drive-by. I must admit I'm not really too surprised by this change. In general, Games Workshop do tend to try and limit the move twice ability back from 8th edition, and it is the same change as is rumoured to be happening with the Quicken spell from the Warlocks not being able to charge if you opt to double move. The other power though has been significantly upgraded, and that's Fog of Dreams. It's a Warp Charge 6 blessing at 12-inch range. Again, it targets a core or character unit, and the unit can't be shot from greater than 12 inches away. This one's pretty massive, to be honest. Making units entirely untargetable in the shooting phase is really nice. It means that if your opponent doesn't have the speed to get close, your unit is essentially invulnerable for a bit. This seems like it could be really annoying on a big squad of the bikes or a big troop. Hopefully they could lay waste to one section of the board and then have a whole bunch of other units just not be able to deal with them because they're too far away. I feel like that could be a very popular pick. Obviously though, we'll have to see the rest. It also appears that the Shadowseer does have a unique secondary objective that they can do as well, repeatedly doing a psychic action when they're close to an enemy unit for 3 victory points per turn, and the cost of the psychic power goes up by 1 each turn. Maybe could be an interesting one if you think you can get them close and keep them safe all game. I feel like secondary objectives are the sort of thing that they could tweak quite a bit in balance changes though, so I'm not enormously sure it's worth dwelling on that too much until the book actually drops. Still though, some pretty interesting teasers for the Disciples of the Laughing God here. Let me know what you think of the rumours down in the comments below. I look forward to hearing your thoughts and opinions. If you've enjoyed the video, then feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics, where I will certainly keep the regular videos coming. I try and post new 40k stuff just about every day. Finally, if you have been enjoying all the videos on the channel, I would just like to mention that Auspex Tactics does have a Patreon page, and you can find that down in the video description below. Channel patrons do get a fair few advantages, seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things happen next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways with a chance to win some really big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you, or you'd just like to help support, the link is down in the video description. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.